The Australian continent is the most important link in a global network designed by American defense strategists to win a nuclear war. On the western coast of Australia is a top-secret communications base run by the US Navy. From Northwest Cape, a radio signal relays orders to submerged submarines, including the orders that could begin a nuclear war. In 1973, during the October War in the Middle East, the US Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, placed America's nuclear arsenal on alert. The base at Northwest Cape relayed that order to submarines in the region and to the other US bases in Australia. When the crisis was over, the Australian government was told that the US bases had been on nuclear alert. The question of Australia sharing control of the US bases has been an issue since the United States established Northwest Cape in 1963. In 1974, US Defense Secretary James Schlesinger, in secret testimony, stated that bases such as Northwest Cape would be the most likely targets in a nuclear war. With the growing possibility of nuclear war, Australian Conservative politicians have traded Australia's security for a front-row seat in a clash between the superpowers.
Many of you might not know that the Australian government has insisted upon a certain rental, which we Americans must pay for the use of this base. As a businessman, I must admit that the rent is very reasonable. It is, in fact, precisely 1 peppercorn per year to be paid upon demand. Here then, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to present you with 1 peppercorn payment in full for the first year's rent. I thank you very much.
Alice Springs, population 15,000, lies 15 miles from Pine Gap and is home for 250 American families. Pine Gap is the most important base to the United States outside American territory. Both Pine Gap and Naranga, 500 miles to the south, will give early warning of a Soviet nuclear first strike, or they will be essential in helping the United States to launch theirs. The Australian government is asking no questions. Depending on wind direction, fallout from a nuclear strike on Pine Gap could cause the immediate deaths of 2,000 people in Alice Springs.
To those neighbors and allies who share our freedom, we will strengthen our historic ties and assure them of our support and firm commitment. We will match loyalty with loyalty. We will strive for mutually beneficial relations. We will not use our friendship to impose on their sovereignty, for our own sovereignty is not for sale. As for the enemies of freedom, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever.